There we go.
So oftentimes in probate, a decedent may have assets in multiple states. And here in California, we might call that a sub-probate or ancillary probate. And I've never seen that term used until recently on one of my favorite websites, Executorium. I saw an advertiser advertise ancillary probates in the state of Nevada. Now, I'm in LA, and probably one of the most common places to have a ancillary probate, if you're in Los Angeles, is Las Vegas. And so I was really excited to get a chance to reach out and chat briefly with Nicole Harvey. And I asked her to come on today for us to go a little deeper with that. So Nicole, thank you so much for making time today.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And so where in Nevada are you located?
My office is in Sparks, which is right next door to Reno, Nevada. So I'm in the northern part of the state.
Very nice. But you're licensed throughout the state of Nevada?
Absolutely. Yeah. My law firm is called Nevada Council.
There you go. Nevada Council kind of gives us a clue as to where we are.
In Nevada. Yeah.
Now I noticed, first off, you're on one of our favorite sites, Executorium. How did you get to Executorium?
I think I first heard about Executorium listening to your podcast.
Oh.
I was looking for, ways I could develop my network and kind of exploring different resources. And you had mentioned it. I think they might have been just starting up. And so I reached out right away, looked at the platform myself. And I think it's just such a cool idea. Since getting on the platform, I've tried to continue recruiting other people in that industry and in related industries. To also join it in my area, because that seems to be the magic of it, right?
I think so. I think the value, they say that your network is your net worth. And so if you know other people and can share them and help them grow their business as well, it's going to help you grow yours as well as help your customers get better service.
That's right. Yeah. Once I started, I was advertising for my local area on Executorium, and I knew that there was a possibility to have a national ad. And the one thing that I can offer to help people with outside of Nevada, being only Nevada licensed, is to help people with ancillary probates. I've done a number of those over the course of my career, but they're not uncommon, when you practice in the probate field.
So let's talk about that. What the ancillary probate, I think by definition, means there's a main estate being settled in another state, and let's say for sake of discussion, California, but the decedent owns a property in another state. In order to sell that, they would need that to be probated, and so we call that ancillary probate. Is that a rough overview of the process?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And here in Nevada, we've got a couple of hot spots where people like to have a vacation home or a second home. Las Vegas, certainly, the Pahrump area, also up in Lake Tahoe. And just south of Lake Tahoe, there's a county called Douglas County. It's a real beautiful place, very pastoral, and lots of golf courses. That's important. But there's a lot of folks will have a second home or a vacation home here, just outside of Truckee, even on the Nevada side, right? You've got vacation homes.
What do you think are the main issues? I see, I belong to the LA County Bar Association as an affiliate. I see, sometimes looking for a referral for an attorney in such and such a state. And I always say, well, what do you need them to do, right? There's a difference between litigation and filing and ancillary probates and estate planning. What's the common case that you get as an ancillary probate? Now, I know you do standard probates and filings as well in Nevada, but let's talk about this one topic. Ancillary, what's a common case look like that comes to you from another state?
Most of those cases will be a single piece of real estate, right? The rest of the person's estate is in California or Michigan or somewhere else, and they have this one piece of real estate that they've got to probate. So for that one asset, we'll go through the probate process. A lot of states, I know California too, there's different levels of process depending on how much value we're transferring, right? Mm-hmm. So around down in the south of Nevada, around a little town called Pahrump, I think about 50 years ago, there was a lot of real estate speculation. And a lot of folks bought up these parcels, undeveloped parcels, and have just hung on to them. And I've done a number of probates that are just dirt parcels, outside of Las Vegas. But then there's also, vacation homes or even a commercial property. A family might have an office building here in Reno, and that one thing, didn't get put in the trust, or maybe they didn't have a trust. And so we've got to go through a full probate for that piece of property.
So I love if I can ask an attorney legal questions, because I have to say all the time, I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice. But so a case would be in Los Angeles, decedent passes, has an estate, maybe a house, a business, miscellaneous stuff, has a house in Nevada somewhere, ancillary probate. property is deeded in name of decedent who died. There's a estate already open in, let's say, Los Angeles, and a state checking account. When they file the ancillary probate in Nevada, are they relitigating the will and the ownership, or does Nevada just say, "Hey, it's obvious your jurisdiction is California, so we're just going to send the money to the estate in California and let the judges in California figure it out"?
Not so much. We settle the probate. We'll admit the will. Of course, it's a copy of the will, and we refer to the primary case. That this is a primary case where the original will has been admitted, or where they have stated there is no will. So those facts get reasserted, but it's not a second bite at the apple for a beneficiary to have another chance at litigating something like a disputed claim to the property. Right. So if whatever has been settled, if the will's been admitted, or everyone's agreed there is no will, or, who the beneficiaries are, if that's already been accepted by the California court, we're not going to give people a second chance, to assert something different here. Certainly if there's, a claim that there's something wrong with the deed, or there's some dispute of ownership in some way, that's what the Nevada court is here for. And that's kind of the reason why you have to have an ancillary probate for a foreign piece of property, right? The California court doesn't have any jurisdiction over the dirt here in Nevada, over that property, and certainly not over any beneficiaries to Nevada property. But a Nevada court has that jurisdiction. So at the end of that proceeding, the house might be sold in that process and liquidated, and the cash then would go to the estate account, which has been set up in California. It would be accounted for in the primary probate, reported there that this is closed, and that's happened. Sometimes we transfer ownership of the property, to the estate or to the ultimate beneficiaries. There is some flexibility as long as beneficiaries get along, right? When everybody's cooperating and everybody gets along, we can have a lot of flexibility with how that transaction concludes.
But in general, the typical case, you're not distributing the funds in Nevada. You're sending the funds to the primary estate, whichever state that's in, and the state there then does the final distributions and accounting and all that.
That's right. Yeah.
So a little less work, a little lower fees, more fees because you're working out of state with another attorney. How does that kind of work out to a customer?
If I can ever find that work assignment where I can do less work for more fees, you can bet that's where I'm going to specialize. I don't know if it's less work. It's still a probate process. It is kind of nice to have like a single asset, very straightforward. If beneficiaries are fighting and they're doing it in another court, it may be less complicated. But it certainly takes the same, time and attention to detail that every probate transaction takes.
Now in California, we have statutory limits to what the fees are. Do you have something similar in Nevada, or is it just negotiable based on attorneys, or how does that work?
Well, we kind of have both. If you have a written agreement with a client for a certain fee structure, you would submit that agreement as well as your itemized fees at the end and ask for permission to be paid. We do have a statutory fee structure to fall back on, which, frankly, I've used almost exclusively in my 15 years of practice, and it always comes out just fine. Sometimes it's a little behind, sometimes it's a little ahead, but over the long run, they all seem to come out just right.
So another question might be a little proprietary. So saying that up front, can you disclose what percentage of your business comes from, say, other professionals like attorneys out of state versus what percentage comes from, say, petitioners who find you, or petitioners who are related to you somehow through past clients or whatever?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I intentionally named my practice Nevada Counsel because
I love that name. It's great.
Right?
Fantastic.
Well, when you're outside of the state and you need a practitioner in Nevada, what do you say? We got to call Nevada Counsel. We got to find Nevada Counsel to handle this, right?
I did. I called you.
Yeah, I think that naming convention kind of, gives me an upper hand when out-of-staters are looking for me, which was exactly my intent. And so I would say maybe I'm 50-50. With out-of-state folks, like I got a call just today, and this is not uncommon. Family in Missouri has an elderly parent here in Reno, and this person asked them to help find an attorney, right? So, or they Google Nevada Counsel, estate planning, and boom, here we are.
Here you are.
So I would say it's interesting. I definitely draw a lot of outside the jurisdiction in terms of contact. But I'm probably contracted about 50-50 with folks out of state.
And what percentage are, say, from professionals, let's say other attorneys looking for that versus consumers?
I would say I get more consumer calls than I get
Okay.
attorney calls, and I think that's because of, that's sort of naturally how attorneys work. It's probably the same with real estate agents. If you've been doing this for any length of time, you start establishing your contacts and your network, and then that's just who you always go to, So I think we probably, we'll always have more consumer contact than attorney contact.
Well, you're also a consumer-facing type attorney. There's some that aren't, and I think you smile, you explain things nicely. I mean, part of that's a skill set that I'm sure you benefit from versus some attorneys who just can't do that. And so that obviously then leads to the next question: if consumers are calling you and you're open to that, how does somebody start the process? They go on your website, NevadaCounsel.com. I see schedule consultation. What's that initial process look like?
Sure. So there's a couple ways to reach out. There's sending us a message through the portal on the website. You can go ahead and schedule a consultation directly. You can call and somebody will help you schedule a consultation. But the point of that initial consultation is, to really, first of all, to get to know each other. There's a lot of lawyers in Nevada who have the same license, the same education that I do, maybe different experiences, but there's a lot of people qualified to help. And I think a really important part of the attorney-client relationship is to feel good about working with each other. Because we've got to trust each other. I've got to get into your pocketbook or your family's pocketbook very quickly. And I think that takes a certain degree of trust. But we're also learning the facts, we're learning the circumstances and, kind of foundationally, what is the situation? I don't think there's any area of law where a client can come fully prepared to give you the complete rundown of exactly what their legal issues are, and what they're going to need. But everybody knows the pain they're going through. Right. So it's an opportunity for me to actively listen and understand what all the issues are. And then at the end of that consultation, usually a client is pretty clear on whether or not we're going to work together. They want us to work together. And so am I. And so at the end of that consultation, by the time we're done talking about it, I'm able to explain the fee structure or what's going to be involved in this project. The next step is we send out an engagement agreement that puts all of that in writing. So we both have an understanding of the engagement, and then we get started, whether that's preparing a petition to file a probate or something else.
Well, look, I found you on Executive Term, like I said, I went to your website, and this picture just is mesmerizing. I keep thinking,
I know it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to have a house there in the bottom, but I imagine when it rains or snows or whatever, it must flood like crazy. But it's a beautiful picture. But more than that, the resources, NevadaCounsel.com is the website. And you can go there, you can schedule consult, you can call. I called her office and got through to her. And I think the thing that I feel comfortable with you being on executive term is it tells me that you're coming from a service heart, which I think is important. That's where I come from, and I hope the real estate agents that we talk to as well. I guess the last question is, do you, the majority of my platform is real estate agents. Now, we also have attorneys and vendors and such, but real estate agents who are working with their customers who call them first and say, hey, so-and-so passed, I'm inheriting this property, what do I do? My father's probate in LA, but I have this property in Nevada, what do I do? So talk to me a little bit about, do real estate agents bring you business? Do they solicit you business? What's the best practice for a real estate agent looking to learn in this area and build a relationship with you as far as business?
Oh, never hesitate to call, just like when you called, if I'm available, I'll take the call immediately. And of course, kind of like I described the situation of the kids referring me to their parent locally, not uncommon for a real estate agent to call me and say, hey, my client has this problem, right? Certainly within the Reno area, I work with a lot of different real estate agents and title companies too. And it can be anything from, there's a problem on this deed to, how do we transfer this now that my loved one has passed? So I do work a lot with real estate agents. I also, I wrote this book and I recently published a third edition. It's called I Hope You Die Laughing. And I subtitled it A Beginner's Guide to Estate Planning. And I really should have called it A Beginner's Guide to Estates because that's what it is. It's, obviously infused with some humor and kind of translates really my very first law school class in estates into English. That might be the first or second edition. Yeah, the third edition has this fancy illustration on the cover.
Okay, how are we gonna find how would one get a copy of the third edition? There you go.
Oh, there it is. There it is. You found it.
That's the Kindle, and I'm sure there's also a written version as well.
That's
Okay,
right.
oh, see, I'll format. Look at this. It's like you're like a regular publisher, paperback. There we go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, we're legit now. Okay,
But
so
I really try to take like, what did I learn in that preliminary course? What have I learned over the years? And just spin it into stories, and then kind of infuse it with some humor along the way to help the reader, get through it. Because it's a hard topic, whether you're dealing with preparing your own estate or you're probating mom and dad's estate. This is hard stuff to think about. So I figured if I approached it with some humor and love, that might help.
fantastic. Well, look, we'll put the link to the Amazon. I'm not an affiliate or anything. We'll just put the link in there. If you're interested in the book, you can get that. And then obviously our guest today has been Nicole Harvey, who's the founder of Nevada Counsel, who does regular probate work in the state of Nevada, as well as focus on ancillary probate. So if you have an estate in another state, but you have a property in Nevada, Las Vegas, or some other hot areas, Lake Tahoe, feel free to reach out to her. The website again is nevadacounsel.com. And from there, you can schedule a consult immediately or a phone call as well. Nicole, thank you so much for supporting Executorium. Thank you for your support and your service heart to the industry. And thank you for your time today with us.
Thank you.